Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it might be where you're at. We're definitely winding down to the fantasy football season. What's up, Pierre? Oh, Pierre's got a haircut. Pierre got a haircut.
Hey, what?
I said, you got a haircut.
I did. Long overdue.
Looks good.
Thanks.
Looks good.
New school year, new haircut. That's the rule.
New school year, new you.
Yeah.
That used to be the joke. That used to be the joke in the gym. New year, new you. Because every New Year's resolution, right? This is the year.
That's right.
Like in shape. This is the year. And then 3 weeks later, you don't see him anymore.
So I'm sure you heard a lot of resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't even pretend to work out anymore. I will. One day I'll have time. Too busy doing fantasy football.
Nothing wrong with that. Although you should find time to, do a little bit of exercise at least.
Well, yeah. I know. All right, we're almost full. That's good.
So, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
Chris, you moved on me.
Yeah, because this draft is actually has the same settings as our Endgame redraft. So even though I'm 8 in that one, the 9 was open, so I moved to the 9, so I can get a little practice for our draft.
Oh, well, then I'm gonna move too and take my second.
Hey, you might as well. I think that's why Nick jumped in the 1.
Yeah. Well, so the reason I said it was the hardest spot was because it was right in the middle, and you and Pierre would have picked before me. And I was like, oh yeah, I get to get sniped by Pierre and Chris.
No, Pierre has a good spot in our draft. He has a 12. I think that's a good spot. Obviously, the 1 and the 2 are great, but I think the 12 is the next best spot especially with like our group and our setting. I think that's gonna be a good spot.
Yeah, 5. I think like 5, 8, and 9 are weird, and 9's not too terrible. So like maybe 8 and 7 actually are probably.
Yeah, 8. I'm not looking forward to drafting out of the 8 against this group. I can draft out of the 8 against people who are like kind of know what they're doing, and I feel okay about it. But against you guys, I'm probably gonna have a terrible draft.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be terrible, but it's just
Maybe
harder
not
to know
terrible,
which
but
way to go, early on.
I'm probably gonna have to work very hard during the season. That's for sure.
Yeah. 12 was taken, so I'll sit where I'm at. I think it's fine. Drafted enough from the 12th spot during our mocks.
Hey, remember, 2 flexes, 3 wide receivers, and 2 flexes.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a good deep roster. You can't just be very top heavy and suck everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we draft different. I feel like in Bill's draft, I feel like I killed that one. I feel really good about my team.
You killed that one for 2021.
I think I've killed it. Like, I think I've got a couple years, and then like the depth will be in question for sure. But like that's what the picks are for. Like I'll have picks, and some of the people I got at the end of the draft are young. So I did draft young at the end of the draft, if you haven't noticed.
No, I get that, but the problem with picks and young at the end of the draft is a lot of misses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I think your team's going to be beastly this year, but you got 3 running backs entering the twilight of their careers.
Yeah.
Keenan should be good for a couple more years. Your QBs are really your biggest weakness.
Yeah, Tannehill and Cousins and Garoppolo. I do think so. Like Garoppolo is not dead to me as far as like even if he doesn't get the job in San Francisco, someone's picking him up and making him their QB. And there are enough teams in the NFL.
If he's not on San Francisco.
If he's not on San Francisco, yeah.
I think he'll start, but what's up, Young Money?
What's going on?
Hey.
Still need 2. Oh, no, now we just need 1.
Yeah, Jeremy, looking at your team, I mean, it's really solid. I mean,
No, it's
Henry might not fall off a cliff after this year. So you could be set absolutely at running back, and then your receivers, everyone's counting Julio out. That's why I hate in Dynasty, people draft just rookies or just second year players. I mean, you say you're playing for the future. Half of those rookies aren't even going to hit. So you're starting over again next year. It's like you're constantly putting yourself in future win later mode. You know what I mean? Like, give me the guy who I know is actually going to contribute. And then if I have to replace him with a young player next year, then I'll do that. But, just to start out, basically punting the season, I don't get that. You know what I mean? Like, you always have to be, the difference is you can be in like you have some guys like Thielen and, maybe Julio, you can say, okay, well, they don't have very long left. But it doesn't mean like after this year, they're done, right? Like you already are giving up on 2022. You know what I mean? And you can also be competitive and have young players and still be a contender. You know what I mean? You get a, CeeDee Lamb, instead of a Julio Jones or something. But I hate, when people emphasize youth too much, because
I feel like that's a loser mentality.
Yeah.
It's
like I'm not even going to try to win this year. I'm just going to win from next year. Like, you don't know you're going to win next year with that team.
Exactly. I will say, I still think Brady and then Thielen, then your team would terrify the crap out of me.
So I didn't think Thielen. I thought so. Here was my thinking on that, and you brought it up. Everyone was discounting old people, and I'm like, Brady's the most oldest person in this draft. I was like, there's no way he doesn't make it back to me. And then I thought Pierre was going to take Thielen, so I was like, in preparation, I'll take Thielen, and Brady will come back to me, and I'll be fine. And when he took Brady, I was like, ooh, I really wanted to get Brady, because I was going to get Cousins right after Brady and just shore up the QB position. And then when he took him, I was like, all right, well, I need to focus a little more on the receiver. I'll still be able to get Cousins later, which I did. But yeah, my third QB is a little sketchy, but I'm fine with Garoppolo. He's my late round. Like, if he does well in San Francisco, he keeps his job. And even if he does well, it doesn't mean he'll keep his job. They might just trade him off if they get enough value for him.
Yeah, they don't owe him any money anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually would have been nice. You kind of got sniped later. You took Garoppolo. I know you like Garoppolo, but you should have got Mond to back up Cousins. That way, if Cousins isn't there, then you have his backup. But
yeah,
you did get sniped there.
Yeah. But yeah, and like I said, Pierre might not want a 44-year-old QB. So
you don't know Pierre well enough. Pierre doesn't care.
That is absolutely true.
Especially when Pierre only had one quarterback at that point, and Tom Brady was by far, I mean, okay, I'm sure there's people in Dynasty who say, oh, he shouldn't be ranked that high, but as far as this year goes, is by far head and shoulders above every other quarterback on the board at that time. That's why I was just shocked. That's why when I said there's a player I think you have to take, and you're like, I can't figure out who it is. I'm like, how can you not figure out who it is? Because in my opinion, it was like Brady and then Cousins, like a huge tier, like a huge, massive drop. And for your team, you already have Derrick Henry and Julio Jones, and Keenan Allen. Like, screw age. Like, age is out the door at this point. You know what I mean? Like, who just grab Tom Brady, get a top 10 QB this year. And then I would have been like, okay, now his team is going to be an absolute monster.
Yeah. But
I keep saying it. Look, Brady over Rodgers. Rodgers, we don't know if he's going to play next year or if he's going to be with the Packers. Like, we have no idea. He could legitimately retire. We know Brady will not retire. Like, it doesn't matter how old he is. He's going to keep playing. He's already said he's going to keep playing. So I have Brady over Rodgers in Dynasty, and I got him like 3 rounds later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Nick taking Tua, man, he's looked good in preseason. So I don't know if that was a smart.
Yeah.
I know he debated that decision a bunch, but I think it was a smart one now, seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Zach Wilson went over him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Rookie fever. But yeah, I was surprised when Nick was on the clock for that long and then picked Tua, and I was like, that just seemed like such a no-brainer.
I was taking him if he made it back to me over the
I was taking him too. I'm sure Pierre was taking him as well with the very next pick.
He saved me from having to take him because I have Tua in too many. You don't want the same player too many places, and I already have him in like 2 or 3 other dynasties. So I don't know who else he was thinking.
I don't know who else he was thinking about there. I think he might have said it, or maybe not, because maybe the players haven't been picked yet, but there's probably a chance at least one or two of those guys made it back, and there was no chance Tua was making it back to him. Like no chance.
Well, I think he wanted Smith, wasn't that? He said Smith, and then I think there was a running back he was interested in as well.
Yeah. I just think in Superflex, because again, after Tua, because now after Tua, you're looking at guys like Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins. Like those guys are fine, but they don't have the upside that Tua potentially has.
Yeah.
Right. So
Potentially.
I mean, he's been looking good. I mean, we don't know because we only saw him in a small sample. We've only seen him in the preseason, but if he takes a leap forward this year, Tua is going to be a top 10 dynasty quarterback, no doubt about it.
Yep.
I like Tua. I just wish he was. That hip injury made him less of a runner. He wasn't like a Lamar or anything, but he was a solid, 300, 400 yard, maybe 3 touchdown type of guy. I like guys with a little bit of rushing upside. Now I think it's gone.
That is true.
We'll
that
see.
rushing floor isn't there. That's why a guy like Field at least has that. You know what I mean? So long term might have more value in fantasy, but you're right that he's not really running. They're not going to probably let him run very much. This new offense that they have, these coordinators, we don't see anything where he's taken off.
It would have been super interesting to see if Tua hadn't got hurt in college. If the Bengals would have taken him first overall, and then seen if Washington would have taken Joe Burrow. That would have been interesting.
I think Chris would
This
be
guy
okay with
on?
that.
I thought he was at one point, but I guess he's not.
Yeah, the Giants are trash.
Did they play anybody though? Like,
They're playing the
Even if
Browns
they
right
did, they're still trash.
That's pretty accurate.
and I can. Is the next preseason game with the Saints for the Jags?
I think so.
No idea. Did you guys see that the Ravens haven't lost a preseason game since 2015?
That's crazy. That's
That
hilarious.
is wild.
see that.
That's hilarious.
These are preseason champs.
Yeah, too bad there's no trophy for that or anything. Parade.
Yeah, it's not
That'd
like
be
NBA
nice.
Summer League where they get a trophy.
Oh my gosh. They're absolutely hyping the summer league up like no other now.
Young Money going with the Chief stack.
Absolutely. I was gonna take Diggs, but that's not. Like they're having
Jared, do
summer
you still
league.
play in the Rotoballer Expert League?
Huh? Am
You
I still
still-
playing in it? Of
Yeah.
course.
Yes, this is the same settings as the Rotoballer Expert League.
Yeah, we don't even know when we're going to draft there. So I don't know my draft slot yet.
I'll never
Seems
forget. That was one of my
pretty deep.
favorite seasons ever. I started 2-5. I was the highest scoring team by like 100 points, and I was 2-5 because I kept playing like the number 1 or number 2 scorer every week. And I was like, I can't believe this. And I remember Raph even messaged me, and he's like, dude, you have by far the best team. And I'm like, well, a lot of good that's doing me. And then things turned around, and I went on a run, and I didn't lose again until the championship game. And I only lost to Nick because Antonio Brown got hurt at the end of week 15. So I didn't have him for week 16. And remember that was the year where Michael Crabtree was better than Amari Cooper, but nobody wanted to admit it. Remember that?
Michael Crabtree. Yeah.
On the Raiders. They were both on the Raiders. And Michael Crabtree that week, after crushing it all season, got 0 catches. So I basically had no Antonio Brown and no Michael Crabtree.
That's why we like best ball, right? No, head to head.
Yeah, but that was a fun league because I remember I was like, I got to really be good in this league. These guys are experts. I tried really hard. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm not going to even make the playoffs with this insane team.
Yeah, I've got similar story. It goes way, way back though. I had like by far the best team in my home league. I think had lost like one game going into the playoffs, and then like it all went to hell because this was when the Colts had Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, and Marvin Harrison, and they were so good that they rested their starters 2 weeks before the playoffs started. So in the championship week, I had Edgerrin James and Marvin Harrison, and like Marvin Harrison didn't even suit up, and Edgerrin James took like one carry, and then he sat. So I had him in my starting lineup, and then I had to find somebody off my bench to replace Marvin Harrison. So yeah,
That's terrible.
That's why your team can be too good.
I saw a graphic. In 2013, the Broncos had 5 guys that scored 10 or more touchdowns. Could you imagine having like the Broncos stack that year? You would have crushed everybody.
Yeah, who was it? It was
Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas.
Who was their tight end? I forget his name.
Julius Thomas.
Julius Thomas.
No Sean Moreno.
But it wasn't Moreno. I think it was CJ Anderson down the stretch.
Not in 20. Oh, I got the picture. Let me see.
Because I think Moreno got hurt, and then what's his face? Everybody's like, oh, this guy. He got hurt, and then CJ. Maybe that wasn't maybe that was 2014.
Demaryius Thomas had 14. Moreno had 13.
Okay, so that must have been 2014.
Julius Thomas had 12. Eric Decker had 11, and Wes Welker had 10.
Okay, so this is before Emmanuel Sanders. That's right, Eric Decker.
And he went to the Jets, did nothing.
Oh, yeah, you had Peyton Manning. You went from Peyton Manning to what? Mark Sanchez? Who was the Jets? Mark Burrell? Who was? It
might have been Fitzmagic.
No, because Decker was pretty good with Fitzmagic. He had like a 1 or 2 good
years. Yeah. Him and Brandon. Oh, it might have been Gino.
It might have been Gino. Yeah, but
I know Fitz was there with Brandon.
Regardless, it was a big drop from Peyton Manning.
That was back in the, oh my gosh, this is bringing back like unvaulted memories. That was the Chris Ivory days. Do you remember him?
Yes, of course.
Oh my gosh.
He was a beast.
I know, he was super good for like 20 games.
He had like 2 seasons where he was pretty good.
And didn't he sign a contract with the Jaguars, and everyone thought he was going to be a beast, and he did nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we had this thing for a while where we took old people that we thought would be good and then never turned out to work for us. And we kept doing it for years. And I was like, can we stop?
That's how I feel about Julio this year. I think this is the year people find out he's just not that guy anymore.
I agree.
Health-wise, like he's still as talented as anyone. Don't get me wrong. He's talent, top 5, top 6 receiver, but his situation, his health, I'm off.
Yeah, I think he's a wide receiver too. Like,
maybe
not. If he was my 3 or my flex, I'd be okay with that. But as my 1 or 2, I don't want to depend on him week in, week out.
I don't want to depend on him at all. To be honest.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't have experience with a quarterback besides Matt Ryan, right? That's the thing. Is it Matt Ryan always looking for him? You know, is Tannehill going to look for him as much? I don't know.
He's got that chemistry with AJ Brown.
He's got AJ Brown. This is a run first offense still. That's the thing. They're not going to be behind, by 20 points like the Falcons always are.
He's going from a team that threw it 30 to 40 times a game to a team that's going to throw it like 25.
Yeah.
I think they'll open up the passing game because Arthur Smith is now in Atlanta, ironically. So I think the Falcons are going to at least try to run more. Their defense is still pathetic, so they're going to have to pass. But the Titans' defense isn't good either. They can't rush the passer. They have a whole new secondary. I think their defense is going to be bottom 10 this year. So they'll probably
their defense is going to be awful, but I still don't see him throw. I mean, maybe, but they got Derrick Henry.
He's not going. I think this year he'll have like 1,400, which is still a good season. Don't get it. Like he's not going for 2,000 though.
No, but I'm just saying he's going to get 300 plus touches. There's only so many touches. There's only so many. They're not going to have 1,000 snaps or 900.
You're going all the way down to 14.
All the way down to 14.
He might lead the league. Yeah, he might lead the league with 1,400 yards.
Dude, yeah, I think it would have been.
I got him I got him losing 400 rushing yards, so I got him down to 16. But
Nah, I think he'll go lower than that.
I mean, that would by far be 1,600 rushing yards. Might be the.
That'd be
It would definitely be the
best
best season
season
ever after 2,000
coming
yards.
off,
without
yeah,
a doubt.
coming off
Like,
of
not even
2,000
close.
yards.
no, wouldn't it? Wait. Didn't he go for 2,000 yards the year before or close?
No one's ever done back-to-back 2,000 yards.
No,
No
I
one
said he
has
was
two
close.
ever,
I think he had 1,500 the year before.
which is a lot.
Because people don't realize how many yards that is for a running back. It's an insane amount of yards. Like, I think Barry
He's only been,
Sanders
like-
only did that like 3 times in his whole career.
Did what?
And no offense to Derrick Henry, he's nowhere close to Barry Sanders.
Two different backs.
Derrick Henry's not going to be remembered as one of the greatest ever. He's just not.
I mean,
Derrick
the
Henry had
Titans.
1540 the year before, and he led the league.
That's crazy. To go 1,500, then 2,000, then if he does 1,400, that'll probably be the best 3-year stretch ever in terms of yards.
Hold on, my friend. I don't even know if this is the best stretch. There's
I know
probably
Eric
somebody even
Dickerson.
better.
Eric Dickerson went 1,800 as a rookie.
Barry Sanders went 1,883, 1,500, 1,553, 2,053, 1,491, and then decided that was enough and retired.
I know Eric Dickerson came out the jump 1,800, then 2,000. I don't know what he did his third year, but those first 2 years were crazy.
Dude, Barry Sanders basically 1,500 rushing yards or more for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight years. What the hell?
He's the GOAT. I think he's the best running back ever, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
Agree there. That's when I had growing up, had a Cowboys fan as a best friend. He loved Emmitt Smith, and we would always argue who was better overall back, Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders. He said, no, Barry Sanders can't block, and he doesn't catch the ball like Emmitt Smith. I said, dude, Emmitt Smith has the best offensive line in the
I did
entire
not
league.
want Patrick Mahomes. I was trying to click on Cortland Sutton, and it was not working. And I swear I'm not in the video.
It's because you want Cortland Sutton?
Yeah. It was between him and Judy, and I was trying to decide.
If I'm being like totally honest, I don't even think Emmitt Smith is like. I never thought he was that crazy talent. Like, I just thought he was good, but wide open holes.
Right.
Open.
Wide open holes, insane.
Good overall
volume.
back, but great. I mean, you can't get a better situation. They had the best offensive line for 5 years straight?
Ever.
Yeah, maybe ever. Barry Sanders had nothing around like Scott Mitchell as his quarterback.
Straight ball.
I gotta get off auto.
Yeah, that's right. He had the most yards all time, and he just wasn't that talented.
He wasn't.
Well,
In terms of
he's
talent?
just lucky Barry Sanders retired after 10 years, or no one would ever break the rushing record, especially with today's NFL.
I mean, I agree that Barry Sanders is the better overall player, but I don't think the gap between him and Emmitt Smith is that big, is it?
Yes.
Well, I don't have Emmitt Smith. My top 5.
Emmitt Smith. Look at Emmitt Smith averaged, like his yards per carry was really bad. Honestly, he just got insane volume and played on a great team. Like, I'm not saying Emmitt Smith wasn't talented. He was obviously talented. For 4.2 yards per carry per his career, he only cracked 5 yards per carry one time in his entire career. Barry Sanders averaged 5 yards per carry for 10 straight years on one of the worst offenses, where every defense went into the game saying, we have to stop Barry Sanders. That was literally, you listen to any defensive player from that era, and it was, we have to stop Barry Sanders. That was literally the game plan, was to stop Barry Sanders. And Miss Smith had protection. He had a great offensive line. He had a great
I agree.
QB. Well, yeah, okay QB, a kind of overrated QB, but good enough. Great wide receivers. If Barry Sanders had played, well, I mean, it's hard to say that, but it would be. But I mean, if Barry Sanders played on the Cowboys,
22,000 rushing yards,
insane.
4 Super Bowls, maybe an MVP.
I'll agree to disagree on that.
Well,
I
where
mean,
would,
don't get me
where
wrong,
do
don't get
you
me wrong. I'm not trying to deny Barry Sanders being the best all time at all. I'm not, but
where do you have Emmett ranked? I've got like personally, I've got Barry, Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton, Jim Brown, all ahead of him easily.
that's a tough one for me. I don't know. I would definitely have him in the top 5. I don't know. 2 or 3, maybe. I'm not sure.
I feel like running back is such a like because I mean people forget about guys like Eric Dick, even LaDainian Thompson. Like this dude scored what like 32 touchdowns one year. That's absolutely insane.
What's that?
I feel like people forget about LaDainian Tomlinson. Like man scored 30 some odd touchdowns one year.
Well, yeah, people forget about him because he played on the crappy Chargers. But he was insane.
The Chargers had one of the most pathetic years I've ever seen. Number 1 ranked defense, number 1 ranked offense, and did not make the playoffs.
Oh yeah. I actually watched an in-depth video about that. And believe it or not, because they had like overall one of the worst special teams that it actually came back to bite them.
It's a third of the game.
Yep.
No, LaDainian's probably the fantasy football overall RB1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a stretch there. Well, now Christian McCaffrey,
Christian
if he can stay healthy
McCaffrey's
for 2
coming
or 3
for
more
that.
years, he's coming for that title because like there was a 2 to 3 year stretch there where if you had LaDainian Tomlinson, you almost, as long as the rest of your team was halfway decent, you won. That's kind of how Christian McCaffrey's been up till last year. Like you look at the 2 years prior, it's like if you had Christian McCaffrey and the rest of your team was halfway decent, you probably won or had a very good chance of winning.
I don't remember you guys doing this, so I'm just asking. Did you guys do like a league winning players from last year, like who won people leagues?
Well, I've been doing that all off season.
But yeah, it just might be like a good reminder. Like these are the people who won you leagues. Now, some of it was obviously situational, but some players, like
all the league winners from last year won't be league winners this year because they're going to be drafted too high. The only exception I could think of would be David Montgomery because he's still going in like the 4th, 5th round.
Well, there still will be 1 or 2 or 3 league winners running backs drafted in the first round because it happens every year. They'll be like whoever, like if McCaffrey stays healthy, he'll be a league winner. If Cook stays healthy, he'll be a league winner. They'll be like the top 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 running back on the season. But yeah, as far as the rest of them, and some wide receivers too.
Yeah, like last year, Dalvin Cook was still a first rounder, but he wasn't number 1, 2, or 3. He was a little bit later on, and he was like, the best pick. He wanted being kind of a league winner. So, like it could be Jonathan Taylor or somebody like that.
Well,
no, I mean
Alvin
you
Kamara was a
can't-
league winner.
league wing.
you can't be a league winner 2 years in a row. Like people were drafting David Montgomery late last year. He's going high. Like I think he's the only exception. If he does good this year, he could be a league winner. But Dalvin Cook can't be a league winner this year because he's going 2nd overall.
No, he was a league winner last year.
Alvin
Kamara was a league winner last year. CMC was a league winner for 2 years in a row. Saquon was a league winner for 2 years in a row. You can still be look. If you have the number 1 running back, it doesn't matter where you draft him. He's a league winner. He's a league winner because he scores more points than everybody else in the league. 5. No, it doesn't matter because he's going to
carries your team. He's a league winner.
He's a league winner because because the number 1 running back historically, well, it was between these two, so I'll just take him here. The number 1 running back historically.
Holy moly, Chris! You want to take anything other than a receiver?
This is 3 wide receiver, 2 flex, my friend.
I know, but you
can only start 5.
You do have to start 2 running backs, right?
I mean, sure. Give me 20 points combined for my running backs. I'm fine.
Think so?
Yes. Like Alvin Kamara. Well, let me look.
All I'm saying is if you draft Dalvin at the 2 spot and he's RB1, that's not a league winner.
No, it is. I'm telling you, Young Money, I have the numbers. I have the literal numbers that prove you wrong. Hold on.
How can you be a league
Finishes
winner?
as RB1, then yeah, because you got the RB1 and
because
that's a
he's
huge
going to
advantage
score.
right there.
more points than anybody else. It's like LaDainian Tomlinson or CMC. He's going to score every week. He's going to score so many points that he contributes more to your team than most other people. Like, so last year, last year, Alvin Kamara was on 23% of championship teams. He was absolutely a league winner. Like, no doubt about a league winner. Why? Because he was the RB1 and he scored a zillion points. And every single week he almost by himself led you to victory. Of course, the rest of your team can't beat garbage, but as long as they're okay, you're going to win with those guys. So yes, they can be league winners.
I can't consider a guy that you spend a top 3 pick.
Young Money, I just literally told you.
It's chalk.
This is making my head hurt.
Like,
you're making my head hurt. I literally just told you. Okay.
Well, so it is chalk, but you got to remember.
Like, who else are you going to take at the 101? Like, Christian McCaffrey can't be a league winner. Everyone's taking.
It doesn't matter. That's not. You're not understanding what a league winner is.
But
Like,
that's
it's
different.
like a league winner is
he's
some
not a
guy
league
that
winner.
nobody was on who came out of nowhere. Yes, those guys are league winners too. But if Christian McCaffrey goes out there and scores 400 fantasy points, guess what? Everybody who has Christian McCaffrey, or almost everybody who has Christian McCaffrey, is gonna win their league. Only, and not because of the rest of their team, only because of Christian McCaffrey. As long as the rest of their team is halfway decent, that is a league winner, regardless of where you draft him. That's a league winner.
I can't
In
consider a
best
guy at the
ball,
101.
it wouldn't be a league winner
No
because
money,
you have to be
it's
different.
not an opinion. It's not even an opinion. This is absolute
I can't do it.
indisputable fact. This is not an opinion. This is fact. Proved by
I get what
data.
you're saying. I get what
You're
saying.
arguing
Like,
against math.
if he's on,
You're literally
if he's
arguing
on
against
40
math right now.
if he's on 40% of teams, like, yeah, he's a quote unquote league winner. But I mean, who else are we taking at the 101? Like, it's no
That
surprise.
doesn't matter. You're not understanding the point. The point is everybody who took him at the 1.1, unless the rest of their team was was terrible because they didn't know how to draft or they got decimated by injuries, are going to win. Okay, in 2019 when he scored 400 whatever fantasy points, he had the highest ever. Well, not ever, but in the last 3 years, so I only have the last 3 years of data. The highest win rate of that 3-year period. And basically, if the rest of your team was halfway decent, you won. I don't care if somebody drafted Justin Jefferson in the 15th round. They lost to Christian McCaffrey that year. They just did. It's just a fact. It's not my opinion. It's not me throwing out hyperbole. It's literal fact based on math.
Justin Jefferson in the 15th league winner. Absolutely.
Justin Jefferson last year, where is he? Was on less league winning teams than Alvin Kamara. And you probably considered him a league winner. He was on 16%. Because he didn't. Because here's why: you win with fantasy points. It doesn't matter where you draft them; you win with fantasy points. So when one guy dominates fantasy like Alvin Kamara did last year, people with Alvin Kamara win. That's literally a league winner.
I guess we just got to do different.
Look, this isn't my opinion.
Okay.
This is not my opinion. This is not me like saying I think he's going to be better than him. This is me literally with the data in front of me.
Yeah. I was about to say, I feel like I'm thinking more of like steals than
that's
than
different.
actual league winners. That's what
Sure.
I feel like.
That's different. Okay, now we're talking about something different. And look, Justin Jefferson was a league winner last year. He was definitely a league winner because 16% is better than the 8% if you're in a 12-team league or 10% high if you're in a 10-team league. So if you had Justin Jefferson, he gave you a better chance to win than an average wide receiver. That's really what and there's not many of those guys every year. There's only like, I don't know, 40 a year if you combine all the positions. And usually there's only about 12 running backs and maybe 15 wide receivers that even meet that criteria.
We had this discussion, right, Chris, before we recorded. We talked about league winners. Okay, well, what is a league winner versus what is a must-have versus a sleeper or a steal? You know, because that means different things to different people. And I think, Young Money, I get what you're saying because that's what I was kind of thinking. League winner is the guy who like far surpasses, you know, their ADP, their return on investment. So that's I know what you're saying, but to win your league, you just have to have the best player. And if you have the RB1, that's a league winner. So
it's very
But
rare.
you're
that
thinking what you're thinking
overall-
too is like in best ball, if you have the same guy that everyone else has at the same spot, you have no advantage, right? Or if you're like in a DFS tournament, that's exactly right. You have to differentiate. You have to have the guy who nobody else has. But in redraft, it doesn't matter. You just need the most points. So it's a little different. But in best ball, absolutely, you have to get. That's why guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, even though he did nothing last year except for like 3 weeks, he was actually had a higher win rate than a lot of receivers who had decent seasons like Corey Davis, or people like that, because those boom weeks give you an advantage over everybody else.
And you got to think on a given week, there's only about like 10 guys, maybe 15 on like a crazy week that go 20 plus in a PPR league. So when you have a running back who's doing that every single week, that's a massive, like, it doesn't matter where you drafted him. I don't care if you drafted him with the 1.1 or the 100.1. There is no 100.1, but you get my point. That's just a huge advantage because there's not a lot of those guys week to week, and you have them every single week. So that's why yes, you can absolutely, and there will be, in fact, for running backs. Let me go back here. There's been so over the last 3 years, there's been 48 league-winning running backs. So what is that, like 16 a year? And 10 of them have been drafted in the first round. So there absolutely will be more this year. But the other interesting thing is 12 of them were never drafted. That's 4 a year. So don't worry about my RBs, guys. Don't worry about my running backs, guys. I'll find league winners on the waiver wire. Don't you worry.
Better hope so.
And I was
Well, you already got this year's James Robinson.
I do. And last year's James. I have this year's and last year's James Robinson on my team, by the way.
I do have a question because I feel like a lot of people are thinking, oh, I'll just find this year's James Robinson from last year. And I'm like, that hasn't happened every year. And so like when people go, oh, I'll just find this year's James Robinson, I'm like, I mean, that was kind of like a fluke. Like even I
Good
would.
luck with that.
Yeah, draft James Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think you're gonna find an undrafted free agent who does that.
Well,
Hey, I got one.
I just feel like you're putting it out there, like, oh, you can, and I'm like, no. It's like it's an oddity.
You can, but they're not an undrafted free agent who started from week one. That's not usually what the running backs are. I'll tell you more about the running backs here in a second.
Look, the reason there's a James Robinson is because literally nobody had any idea.
Terrible.
Even the people who followed, and I don't know, Jared, maybe you can attest this, but that even followed the Jags last year, he wasn't even supposed to be one of the top 3 replacements, right? Because he had the Chris Thompson. Some people thought, oh, maybe he'll have a role like Ozigbo and Armstead. Armstead was supposed to be the guy. It just so happened, right? He had COVID. And then Zebo got hurt. It's because literally nobody had any idea who James Robinson was. So you won't find him because you don't know who he is because nobody does. Like, it's just, you got lucky. The people who picked up James Robinson weren't smarter than everybody else. They just got lucky that they happened to take a chance on him. So you can't find that guy. You just have to get lucky and happen to get him. So that's why finding that guy, that's the wrong mentality to have, because you won't find him. You might get lucky and get him, but it's somebody that nobody is on, you know what I mean, in the preseason.
Yes. Well, actually, you're right about that. And I actually did research into this, and I posted in the Discord, but I know you guys don't like when I post this stuff. You just want me to post like, this guy's RB3, this guy. But here's the thing. Okay, so there's been however many running backs I said, I forget. Only 2 of them. Well, 3. I think I counted. Did I count? Yeah, I counted. Okay, there's only been 1, 2. There's only been 3 who were actually picked up off waivers early in the season out of all those running backs. That was Phillip Lindsay in 2018, Myles Gaskin, who I really wasn't sure when he was picked up off of waivers. I said week 3, but I wasn't sure because I know people were and then James Robinson last year. All the other ones were picked up week 13 or later. And not only that, here's the crazy thing. None of them were their team's primary backup at the start of the season. So what are we looking at?
Are we talking about league winners still?
What's that?
Are we still looking at league winner?
Yeah, these are waiver wire league winners. So
Jeff Wilson last year was for me.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson definitely was. But what are we're looking at guys where the starter gets hurt, then the backup also gets hurt. And so now you're in like week 13, week 14, and a guy like Jeff Wilson or a guy like Jalen Samuels or a guy like Damian Williams a few years ago have to become the starter, and they tear it up through the fantasy playoffs and through the championship, and they win people championships. So you're right. There's probably not going to be a James Robinson this year because, well, he was the only one I can even find who was picked up in week 1. Everybody else was picked up like week 2 or later. But we can, I think, somewhat accurately predict who will be the league winners, but we don't know who they are yet. But as injuries start to mount, and like, let's take like, where's the situation? Let me look
For receiver, I feel like the reason I took Josh Reynolds in our dynasty is because if Julio does miss time, Josh Reynolds is the number 2, and I think he could be decent.
Yeah. Now this is, I agree, but this is just for running backs. So let's take like the Jets. Let's take Michael Carter's getting drafted, so he's not a good example. Let's take
Jared Patterson. If
okay,
Antonio
there you
Gibson
go.
gets hurt, I'm telling you.
So if Antonio Gibson gets hurt, everybody's gonna, everybody who has J.D. McKissick's gonna be like, yay, right? Because now he's probably gonna get more of the work. But then if he gets hurt, let's say he gets hurt in like week 13, Jared Patterson's gonna be like an absolute must-add guy. He's gonna be an absolute, bless you, he's gonna be an absolute must-add guy, because my theory is, and I don't have any proof for this, is you get these guys who haven't done anything all year, they're fresh, they're forced to play. The team has very little behind them now, right? Because they're down to their 3rd string running back. So this guy has to get almost all the work. And when every other all the defensive players are beat up and tired from the season, this guy's like, hey, first game, let's go. And he's out there with fresh legs running wild. And it happens every year. Like literally every year, there's at least 3 of these guys every single year. So if you have fab, or if you have like waiver priority, and this situation presents itself, you have to pounce on it just in case, because these guys literally do win leagues. Like they win championships.
Not only are they fresh, but a lot of these guys are signed like off practice squad, so they're literally playing for their NFL lives. They're giving everything they have.
That's the other thing too.
I mean, Mike Davis, he played so well, Atlanta gave him a 2-year contract.
Right. But that's the thing. It's in the end, it's luck, right? It's injuries and luck that they look into that situation. You can't predict that. And it's less about talent than situation. And that's why people, go crazy about 40 time. Like that doesn't matter. There's always a guy who has 4.6 speed who like Jeff Wilson, who winds up being a league winner. And so I look at a guy like Larry Roundtree, like nobody cares about him. But if Eckler gets hurt again, he's the lead running back, and he could be a guy who gets a ton of work. You know what I mean? It's a guy like that nobody cares about, and doesn't look like anything special in training camp, and he doesn't stand out, but he becomes valuable during the season.
Larry Roundtree is a good example too. If Eckler goes down, then we're going to probably see some kind of like Kelly, Justin Jackson split that we saw last year.
Yeah, but Jackson's hurt, like he's always hurt, and Kelly's trash because he can't break a tackle. Horrible. So
yeah. I mean, let's not forget Jeff Wilson last year was behind Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, and Jerick McKinnon.
Right.
And then Jerick McKinnon's knees gave up. Tevin Coleman got hurt, and Raheem Mostert's always hurt.
Yeah, and then
Darwin Thompson in Kansas City, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is hurt. Jerick McKinnon is going to do the same things. He's going to have dead legs. His body's going to give out on him. So you got Darrell Williams, but then Thompson is a different kind of back. He might be a guy who has value out of nowhere. Like we forgot about him because he did nothing last year, but he might be a guy who has value this year.
Yeah, there's gonna be 2 or 3 of those guys who are like, nobody's drafting him. Oh, he sucks. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And then they're gonna win leagues. Because it happens every year. And it will happen again this year. So that's all I'm saying is like, look, we can't predict it right now. Of course, there's no way to predict how injuries are gonna play out. But you just gotta and it might not even be a bad idea if you're in a deeper league. When a starter does go down. Like, let's say, okay, like here's a good one because let me see. So today for the Browns.
You're thinking about Jones?
Ernest Johnson played all the starter snaps because they didn't play Chubb or Hunt. So let's say Chubb gets hurt. Well, obviously Kareem Hunt's the guy now, but it's probably worth it to, if you're in a deeper league where you can afford to put him on your bench, to put Dearness Johnson on your bench.
I literally did that last year. I picked up
I
Dearness Johnson
did
at
too.
one point.
I traded for him and got burned because he actually
Yeah,
didn't do anything.
Well, you can't expect, don't expect to put him on your
Oh,
bench
yeah.
and have starter, be a starter.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but I know who I know about him.
but Hunt was
Now,
still healthy. That's
But
the
see,
thing.
the other
Like,
thing
if-
is Chubb's injury last year was only like a 4-week injury, and we knew that. So I don't know why everybody was running that. It's like, dude, he's only gonna be out. That's the other thing. When a running back goes down and he's only expected to miss a few games, don't go crazy to get his backup for those few weeks, because chances are, yeah, he might pay off for those few weeks, but then he's worthless again. And a lot of people will do that. Like, oh man, Nick Chubb's gonna miss 4 weeks. Grab Dearness Johnson because Hunt's already on everybody's roster. Just grab Dearness. But it's like, I mean, yeah, you could stash him, but when Chubb's only going to miss that many weeks, it's probably not worth it. Now, Chubb had like a season-ending injury, like an ACL. Now it might be worth it because,
well,
I
and
don't
what you
remember
want to do
last
is not
year.
blow all your fab because you have to save it for a week 12, week 13 when those guys who become league winners are available. You can't blow it early.
yeah.
Yeah.
Last year it was oh my gosh, James Conner pick up Benny Snell. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it doesn't pay off, but sometimes it does. So you're always rolling the dice.
But Connor came back like the very next week and it was fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't, if it's not like a season-ending injury, then it's probably not even worth getting, unless you're like a team that like I have to win now and I need an RB2 because I'm fighting for the playoff spot. Then absolutely grab that running back, put him in there, win your matchups if you can. But if you're a team that's like comfortably going to make the playoffs and you have a good squad, it's not worth it to grab a backup running back that's only going to play a few games.
And my advice also would be is if someone's running back, like let's say Barkley isn't projected to come back after your draft until like week 8 or 10 or something, like a strong QB won't come back till the beginning of the season. It might be worth, going out and trading for him if you're already 3 or 4 games in and you've got a winning record. So like I did it with Eckler last year. Like I had a winning record and I had some pieces somebody wanted. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go for Eckler. That way when he comes back, I have him for the end of the year. And it worked out for me.
I'll try to do that with Joe Mixon, and we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, that's the problem. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I thought for sure Christian McCaffrey was coming back.
I tried to trade for him too. Thank God I didn't.
Yeah, because they kept saying like, oh, it's minor. He's fine. He'll be back. And then he hurt himself working out. Which I'm pretty sure was the Panthers' just way of just saying like, hey, look, dude, just shut it down. We don't need to take a risk with you. We're paying you a lot of money. We're not going anywhere this year. Just shut it down. Come back healthy next year.
We'll draft a corner with the 8th pick and we'll be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to go ahead and take this guy.
Am I crazy for thinking Terrace Marshall could have scored DJ Moore this year? I'm so down on DJ Moore.
I'm just down on that whole. I'm sorry, but I'm just down on that whole offense with Sam Darnold.
I like
except
Robbie
for CMC, of course.
I don't think Robbie Anderson is going for like 1,000 yards like he did last year, but I think he'll lead them in receiving for whatever that's worth.
Well, I don't think there's any reason to be down on Moore specifically. He's a good receiver. But Marshall will still have a role if he's the number 3 guy, and I think Darnold will be okay. I don't think he'll be better significantly than Teddy Bridgewater, but I don't think he's as trash as he was in New York. But he'll get by. He'll be okay. But that offense can still sustain 2 receivers because they don't really have a lot behind them. They don't have a tight end they throw to. Marshall's their 3rd receiver, and they got not much behind him. So I think they'll be fine, but you just can't rely on either one as a wide receiver 1 and probably a low end wide receiver 2 at best. But
yeah, people forget last year. Like people don't think about it last year.
Robbie Anderson outscored DJ Moore last year.
Yeah, but people also don't. People
barely, but he did.
It's one thing to say like, oh, but the running back's healthy, but this running back is going to get 100+ targets.
That's what
when you have a team that's only going to throw the ball 500 times, and 100+ of them are going to the running back. Some are going to go to the tight ends. You got 3 wide receivers now. Like it's going to be very hard. Like DJ Moore is going to have, like I think he'll have some nice games, but it's going to be very hard for him.
He's going to have to be crazy efficient. Yeah. I don't think he will be.
Yeah, he'll be like an okay wide receiver 3,
Yeah,
basically.
I think Robbie beats him out.
he'll be okay wide receiver 3, but he's being drafted like a wide receiver, like a high end wide receiver 2 still, because everybody
Yeah,
knows.
is he
everybody
being
knows that name.
overdrafted? Yeah, probably. But and also people make a big deal about the Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold claim. Look, the years where they were together, Robbie Anderson didn't have like amazing stats. He had better stats last year in Carolina. So that,
It's just the
that doesn't mean
familiarity.
much.
He's going to be his first read more times than not.
Maybe.
My big problem still is I just think Sam Darnold is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. That's my
I
biggest
think
problem.
this year I think he'll prove to easily be better than Teddy Bridgewater this year. I don't know if that's saying much because I don't have much faith in Teddy Bridgewater either.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, define easily better. Teddy had 3,500 yards last year.
That's
seems like a lot
in the
of yards
NFL.
for
That's
Sam Darnold.
I was about to say for Sam Darnold, that might sound like a lot, but I think with those weapons and the fact that their defense is still awful and they're going to have to pass a lot, Teddy's not pushing the ball down the field. He's check down Alex, but
Yeah,
black.
isn't that what Sam Darnold is too?
I think he'll push the ball down the field a lot more than Teddy, or at least try. He might not be accurate, but he'll at least try.
He's got the bigger arm.
They might try with him until he throws like a 3 or 4 pick game, and then they're like, okay, bring it back, play it nice and safe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll prove me wrong this year. Maybe it really was Adam Gase that just made him so bad. I just think he's not good at all.
I think
in the end, Darnold does statistically about the same as Teddy Bridgewater. Like it'll be fine, but it's not going to wow you. You know what I mean? And I think he'll support his receivers. Okay. But Joe Brady will help because that's a more offensive friendly system and he's going to help, Darnold progress a little bit, but McCaffrey's still the centerpiece of the offense. And that's the thing. Like there's a hard limit on what they're going to do as far as the receivers, because McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, he's going to lead the team in targets, right? So that's what you were saying, Chris, is there's only so much room for those receivers to produce.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll lead. I mean, he might lead the team in targets if Sam Darnold spreads the ball out to everybody, like then he might. But I don't know if
he'll be top 3, top 2.
But he'll probably there's not a lot of teams that have multiple. First of all, the teams that have multiple guys go for over 100 targets, we're talking about like the Steelers.
Yeah.
The teams that throw the ball 600 plus times. The Panthers aren't going to throw the ball 600 plus times. So
with that defense, they might have to, but they're going to have to be efficient on offense, which I don't think they'll be okay, but they won't be converting third down after third down. No way.
Yeah. So CMC is going over 100 targets, which we think he more than likely will. That means only one other guy is probably going to go over 100 targets, maybe 2 other guys, maybe. But if Terrace Marshall, dang, good pick, Gail. I thought I could get him here. If Terrace Marshall ends up being good, it's going to really hurt.
I think he's a red zone guy right now for sure.
Could be. He's a bigger body. I'm interested in Dan Arnold, honestly.
That's not
really, I was about to say like Dan Arnold's sneaky because they didn't throw to him at all last year in Arizona, but they didn't throw any to Ian Thomas last year either. I don't know if it's just because he was that bad, but I don't think Dan Arnold is anything special.
I don't think he's anything special, but if he gets 50 targets, 60 targets, or if the tight ends combined get 60 targets and CMC, let's say, gets 100, that's 160 out of 500. That only leaves you 340 between 3 guys. And it's not just going to be those 3 guys. Right?
David Moore's there too.
What's that?
David Moore from Seattle's there as well. He's solid.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying it's going to be very hard for all those guys to go over 100 targets in a low volume passing offense like this, or what we think will be a low volume passing offense. I don't think they're going to ask Sam Darnold to throw the ball 600 times, but you never know.
I'm telling you, with that defense, they might have to. They're giving them 30.
Even last year with that defense, Teddy, how many times did Teddy throw it?
I don't know.
500 maybe? Maybe not even. Let's see. The problem is, their defense is going to be really bad, but that means the other team's offense has the ball a lot and they don't.
Yeah, they're going to be holding the ball. Because their rush defense is the big problem. Awful against the run, which means the other team is eating up clock.
Yeah, he had 492 attempts. Now he did miss a game, so okay, we're looking at 510 to 520 attempts for Sam Darnold probably. So let's just say 500, probably pretty comfortable number. But again, remember he had 492 attempts without CMC.
I think Sam Darnold's better than Teddy Bridgewater.
Mike Davis wasn't getting 20 plus carries. So I mean, he might be.
I'm still on my hot take that I think Sam Darnold will have a better year than Baker this year.
I mean, I'm pretty low on Baker.
I don't think
So it's
Baker's
hard for me to
anything
say that's
special.
crazy.
I don't think Baker's anything special. I think he's an average quarterback in a super above average situation.
Yep. Agree with that. I'm off Baker. Uncle Drew on auto.
Is he on auto? He says he's green.
Yeah, he's on auto. I'm also coming back around on Logan Thomas, Chris. I was off of him at the beginning of like the very end of the season, but now I'm starting to like him a lot again.
Well, yeah, I saw a stat today about his snaps and his slot snaps, which is usually good for a tight end. But I'm like, isn't that going to change when Curtis Samuel's healthy?
He's not playing right now.
Yeah, that's my problem. That's why I'm not. That's my problem with looking too much into this Logan Thomas thing right now. It's like, yeah, the only wide receivers out there are Terry McLaurin and Diami Brown. So of course Logan Thomas is going to play the slot and he's going to do all that stuff and Adam Humphries, like that's it, right? So we'll see how it goes, but I do worry, he's not going to get those slot snaps with Curtis Samuel.
I'm not even worried about that because I mean, what tight ends outside of maybe like Kyle Pitts, Travis Kelce, who's getting slot snaps? Darren Waller, those guys.
I think TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Usually the top tight ends do get a decent amount. Mark Andrews, I think they usually do.
I don't think Mark Andrews is going to be in the slot a lot this year.
Well,
I don't.
With all the wide receivers hurt there, he probably would have. He probably would have been. Although they said Bateman's running routes or whatever.
They said he's coming back sometime September. First game of the season, September 9th. I doubt he's ready by then.
No, I don't think so.
I think he could miss a week, maybe two. I like Tylan Wallace a lot. I if he hadn't torn his ACL at Oklahoma State, I would have been like a second round pick.
Oh, what?
What?
Tyrell Williams? Not for sure. I was getting Tyrell Williams.
He's a demon, bro. I'm telling you.
What the heck?
You can't have him.
Stop making videos.
You started with like 8 receivers. You don't need anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like,
I only have 7. You got to. Hey, man, you guys got to. You don't understand. You're going to start 5 of them.
I mean, you don't have to.
I mean, sure. If you luck out on hit on 3 and 4 running backs, even though there never are 3 or 4 running backs in a season to hit on, but I mean there are. But good luck that you get them. That you get all 3 or 4 of them.
I was about to say your receivers are probably trash then.
But even then, it's just there's not that many. Typically, from RB20 on, they're only scoring like 13 points a week in PPR leagues. Like that's flex. Those are flex guys. There's just not that many good running backs on a given week. Which is very hard, especially in a 2 flex league. Like if you have 2 running backs and 2 running backs you can flex, then you got very lucky on your running back.
It sounds like you went running back, or like running back, receiver, running back. Unless you just find all the gems in the later rounds.
Then your wide receivers are terrible in a 3 wide receiver league. So
I looked it up because I was curious. You're talking about tight end lining up in the slot.
Yeah.
The tight end who ran the most slot routes last year, Logan Thomas, right? Okay, that's
Really?
Yeah, but who was
Yeah.
their slot receiver last year?
Yeah,
Or
well, they
Dontrell
didn't have any
Inman?
receivers.
They didn't
That's the
have one.
point.
That's
But that's
my thing. Now they have
that's the
Samuel.
theme, because look who's number 2, Mike Gesicki. Because who was the Dolphins receiver? Nobody. It was Devontae Parker and nobody else, right? Because everybody else was hurt.
Or
Number 3,
Cody?
Travis Kelce. Number 4, Dalton Schultz.
Wow, that's shocking. I thought
That's
Darren Waller
surprising.
would be up there.
And then Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, Zach Ertz, Hayden Hurst. We know they're going to use Pitts that way. Mark Andrews, Ian Thomas. All right.
Wow.
So there you put Dan Arnold there as a slot guy. He's a former receiver. Yeah, you never know. I'm not saying he's going to be a thing, but he could be a thing. All right.
Well, just need 2 of those mishmash of running backs to hit.
Good luck with
But
that.
that's also a reason to be down on Gesicki, because now that they have Waddle and Albert Wilson back, take those slot snaps. You know that Gesicki's not going to be in the slot as much. He's got more
I've seen-
competition too.
I've seen Tua look his way a lot, though. I think he'll still get a lot of target. Not a lot. He's not going to lead the team or anything, but I think he'll be viable for sure. I
Well, the
do
problem
worry
is
about like
Jalen Waddle's already been hurt twice this preseason. How long does that
Yeah,
guy
that-
make it? Jeez.
Yeah.
that too. His ankles are absolutely toast.
Yeah, I'm worried about him. I'm not taking him in redraft. Now I said that a while ago, but
Yeah, no, I'm
in
off-
redraft,
I'm off
no.
him.
In dynasty, yeah.
I took him in one league just as a dart throw. You know, he might have a couple weeks, maybe a bye week guy. Somebody gets hurt if it's not him. But yeah, I'm definitely not relying on Jalen Waddle.
No.
How high did
Now,
Corey
Devontae
get?
Smith, I think Devontae Smith could be
7-1, that's pretty
he could be a T. Higgins type from last year, 900 yards, few touchdowns, 80 catches.
good. Yep.
Yep.
He was getting good separation. in that
I was
game.
about to say, I like route runners because if you're a route runner, it doesn't matter who's throwing you the ball. If you're open, he's an NFL quarterback. He's going to get it in your vicinity for you to be able to catch it.
Except Joe Flacco.
Well, except Jerry Judy with Drew Lock, but yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I think Hurts will be more accurate than Drew Lock was last year, and I think Devontae Smith going to get more targets. So I agree, Devontae Smith.
And I think
probably underdraft.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts isn't going to be Drew Brees. I get that.
No. I don't even know if he'll be Drew Lock from last year as a passer.
Oh boy.
I'm really iffy on that.
You know,
All we
Jalen
care about
Hurts
is
was a
his
very
freshman.
good passer in college. And
He
he
was
played for
not.
Bama and Oklahoma.
No,
he
he
didn't
was
play
not.
for like, some D3 school. He played for big time programs against real defenses, and he was a good thrower.
Okay, first he had to leave Alabama because he couldn't throw, and Tua was just better. Lincoln
Well,
Riley.
okay, yeah, of
fooled-
course he had to leave. Of course he had to leave Alabama. He wasn't going to play. Like that would be a terrible career decision to stay.
But I'm
in.
saying if he was that good of a passer, they wouldn't have yanked him at halftime. And Lincoln Riley fooled people into thinking he was a good passer. And they're playing these Big 12 defenses, and CeeDee Lamb's wide open every play. I don't think he's the passer. I don't think he's an NFL passer. I really don't. Not on a consistent basis. Not right now.
Wow.
Well, no.
Hurts disrespect.
Look,
I'm just being honest.
but you know who else is an NFL passer? Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I agree.
And it's okay. It's
I
okay.
agree.
But
But I'm saying for Devontae Smith's sake, I'm not saying for fantasy because I still think he'd be great for fantasy. But as a true pocket passer, he's not even Drew Lock to me right now. And I don't think Drew Lock's anything.
dude, come on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Drew Lock is terrible.
Jalen Hurts complete like 52% of his passes last year.
Okay,
That's
he
beyond.
had to come in
that's
week.
Cam
He had to come in
Newton
week
territory.
13 with no reps all season with the start. No reps all season with the starters behind an offensive line that had. I don't even know if any of those offensive linemen started the season. Carson Wentz was horrendous as well behind
Yeah,
that
people
offense.
talk about how bad Carson Wentz was. Jalen Hurts was worse throwing.
Well, of course, Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback for 3 years and got to play with the starters all year and every week in practice. And then one week they're like, Jalen Hurts, it's your turn. Good luck out there, buddy. He's got the
And no
whole
receivers.
I'm not
And
saying
Travis
again,
Fulgham was the wide receiver one.
he was throwing to Travis
He was the
Fulgham,
wide
Ray
receiver.
Ward. These guys aren't even
So
NFL
was-
wide receivers.
So is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was throwing to him, and people are like, oh, Carson Wentz is trash. But Jalen Hurts
He
has
was
all
trash
this
last
promise.
year.
He was
So
trash.
is Jalen Hurts.
That's
Hurts
fine.
throwing the
My
ball.
point being, just because he was last year, everybody just thinks that. Look, you know what? You know who was trash his rookie year as a thrower? Lamar Jackson. Absolute
He was.
trash. Go look at the
He's
numbers.
still not
Absolute
good. He's still not good.
Trash. You know who else was trash as a rookie? Josh Allen.
Josh
Absolute
Allen, yeah,
trash thrower
I
as a
agree.
rookie. I'm
When
not
you're
saying
throwing to
Jalen Hurts.
Stephon Diggs, it's a lot easier.
All Jalen Hurts has to do is complete 60% of his passes, which in the NFL is not good. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah, that's below average. But
He
if he can do that,
he can definitely do that. And especially
If
with a
he-
guy like Smith, who's going to be wide open all the time, he could probably even go
is
higher.
he? Is he going to be wide open all the time?
You look,
just
look,
said
I
he's
know,
one of the
I
best
know
route
it's just
runners.
preseason. I know it's just preseason, but he was getting tons of separation against those Patriots DBs.
I don't think he'll be open a lot, but he's not going to be cooking people like.
Okay, maybe
Well,
not wide open.
not
I'm
gonna be
talking wide
wide
open
open,
by
oh, yeah.
NFL standards.
Okay, like 3-4 yards in the NFL is wide open. I don't think
That's
he'll be doing
3-4 yards in the NFL is like ridiculously open. We're talking like a yard or two is wide
that.
open.
That's wide open. Yeah,
At 3 or 4
Yeah,
yards in the
that-
NFL is like, where's the coverage?
yeah, busting coverage type. Yeah,
So
I'm
anyway,
just
who wants to try to grade?
he's got a ways to go. To me,
Of course.
before I mean, I'm only high on Devontae based on solely off volume. He'll have to get 110, 115 targets. He'll just have to. And he'll catch like 80, 75 of them. I don't think he'll be very efficient because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be efficient.
No, he's not going to be efficient. I think he's going to be like a Lamar Jackson type throwing the ball. I think he's a better passer than Lamar Jackson, though, to be honest. Which
Coming out?
isn't saying a lot.
Are we talking about coming out of college, like after their rookie year?
Definitely
right
coming out
now?
of college, he's a better passer. Remember, people were like Lamar Jackson shouldn't even play quarterback in the NFL. That's how bad of a
Yeah,
passer.
they were saying he should play receiver.
Definitely a better passer coming out of college. And you can't look, you guys, you can't look at a 3.5 game sample in that system where Carson Wentz only completed 57% of his passes last year in that same offense and say, oh, that's who Jalen Hurts is. You can't say it. Could it be who Jalen Hurts is? Yes. But you can't say that that's who he's going to be. Like to say he can't go from that to 60% is completely ridiculous.
All I'm saying is we can't say Carson Wentz is dead, he's a bum, but then say Jalen Hurts has all this promise. And they're playing
I've
the
never
same
said
offense.
Carson Wentz is dead. He's a bum. I said
I'm
Carson Wentz.
not saying, but I'm saying
I've never
there's
said
a lot
that.
of people out there. There's a lot of people out there like, oh yeah, no, Carson Wentz is a bum, he's done. We can't be saying that, but then turn around and say Jalen Hurts has all this promise. And he was throwing to the same receivers behind the same offensive line and put up worse numbers. That's just a fact.
Did he put up worse numbers?
Passing, yes.
Are we
Running,
sure about
no.
that?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, but it
Have you
almost
looked at
doesn't
the actual
matter. 'Cause if we're
numbers?
talking fantasy, it doesn't matter how Jalen Hurts is as a passer that much because his what he gives you is as a runner. You know what I mean?
Carson
Lamar
Wentz completed
Jackson didn't even
57%.
complete 60% of his passes ever in college. Jalen Hurts 72% and 69% the last 2 years.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts was a significantly better thrower than Lamar Jackson. And Carson Wentz only completed 57% of his passes last year and he only had one 300-yard game. Jalen Hurts did that in 2 games last year and he only started 3.5. And I know Jeremy's going to jump in and say, oh, those defenses were so bad. But it doesn't matter. The fact is, I don't think Jalen Hurts was necessarily any worse than Carson Wentz last year. That whole situation was the worst possible situation any QB could be in. That offensive line was horrendous. They had no time to throw. They didn't even have NFL wide receivers. They literally had XFL,
God.
AAF wide receivers playing for them. Literally.
And Carson Wentz was throwing to the same guys, though.
I know, but Carson Wentz was worse. That's what I'm saying. He was worse.
I don't think he was worse.
I'm telling you he was worse because I'm looking at his numbers.
I don't think he was worse. But we also can't compare Lamar's college completion percentage to Jalen Hurts because Jalen by far had 2 way better programs, better receivers, offensive lines, coach, everything at Bama and Oklahoma than Lamar had at Louisville. I mean, who was Lamar's best receiver? Brian Quick? I don't even know.
Tutu
But also,
Atwell.
you could use the opposite argument and say he
I have
faced a
no
lot
idea.
tougher defenses,
Yeah.
and
Did he in the Big
Louisville
12,
didn't
did
have
he?
a tough a schedule.
He
So,
played 3
Did he
years in
in
the
Big
SEC.
12?
Now I get it. The
Playing
third year he only
TCU?
played like a game or two, but he played 3 years in the SEC. It wasn't like he only played Big 12 his last year, and his numbers all. And then
But
the
that
other
was
thing
his
about
best
playing in the
year.
Big 12, his numbers all went way up that year, as they should when you're playing
I was going
worse
to say they
competition.
better. I would hope so.
But that's my point. Is like if he's a bad thrower, you're going to be a bad thrower against good defenses or bad defense because you're a bad thrower. It doesn't matter. So the fact that his numbers got significantly better against bad defenses is. I know Jalen Hurts has never. I'm just saying 60%. If he throws 60% completion percentage this year, that's more than good enough. Pretty sure it's better than
For
anything
fantasy.
Lamar Jackson's ever done.
For
Let me see.
fantasy, yeah, but I'm talking about real life for Devontae Smith.
It's good enough for Devontae Smith too.
I think
Because here's the thing. Jalen Hurts' attempts, if you look at his ADOT, it was one of the highest in the league. He's not just dinking dunking. Like there's a reason why Drew Brees has 70% completion percentage because he's dumping off to
because
Alex
he's throwing the
Carr.
running back.
He's
Yeah,
throwing slants to Michael Thomas 5 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. And I'm not knocking Drew Brees, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but it's true down the stretch that later in his career, that's how he was throwing. That's why his completion percentage was so high. Jalen Hurts had
Big
one
Ben
of
doing
the
the same
highest
thing.
ADOTs in the league.
Big Ben is dinking it down too. He's getting the ball in 1.5 seconds. This is what you do when you get old, unless you're Tom.
So I don't think Devonta Smith is going to have to. He's not going to need. I don't think he's going to need like 100 catches.
No,
Because he's going to be
he's gonna
catching the
need.
ball. He's going to be racking up 13, 14, 15 yards a catch.
I hope so.
So,
Just gonna go on record here. I didn't say anything. Nothing.
but anyways,
Another game for me.
does somebody want to try to grade this thing?
Honestly, I'll pass because for like most of this, I was just talking and.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Once I got all my wide receivers, it was like, okay, I'm done with this draft. Just take a bunch of hope and pray running backs and get a tight end and a QB.
I wasn't paying that much attention.
It's going to be tough to grade because it's a 2 flex.
Yeah, I was like, this is probably the hardest draft we've done.
Yeah, I wasn't
that I've
super
been a
excited
part of.
about what I did here, so probably not.
Yeah, I
doing
think my
this
team's
draft.
awful.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll grade, but I'm just going to grade everybody's flexes. How about that?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get an F.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do great either. So
All right, so Nick, CMC, McLaurin, Judy.
See, this isn't fair. You got your flexes in your top 6 rounds.
Hey, okay. I'll grade the whole. I'll try to grade the whole teams. Okay, McCaffrey, that's obviously awesome. Three good receivers, an awesome tight end. Etienne is your RB2. Definitely nervous. Michael Carter is your RB3. Might not have any value for half the season or more.
He's 1A right now, according to reports.
Michael Carter hasn't even taken didn't even get a snap. he was getting no. He's not even in the starting rotation right now.
Fair enough.
It's been Coleman and Ty Johnson taking all the starter snaps. Now, I'm not saying he can't work his way in eventually, but as of right now, it doesn't look like – get this off my screen. Why is this on my screen? It doesn't look like he's part of the starting rotation at the moment. Let's see. So, I definitely love your 3 wide receivers, your tight end, and your RB1. RB2 is going to be very dicey, although maybe you could throw in J.D. McKissick on some weeks. Maybe Etienne breaks out, but I think that's going to be an RBBC. Love Corey Davis as your first flex. That's really good. Fuller, Callaway could hit. Of course, I love Jalen Hurts. Brown, Gainwell. I mean, you got some potential down there. It's obviously going to be hard to knock a team with Christian McCaffrey and Darren Waller. But I do think you have some issues with your second flex and your RB2. But I think your other areas make up for it. So I'm going to give you an 8. All right. Jeremy, Dalvin Cook, Allen Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Courtland Sutton. Again, great running backs or great wide receivers, great running back. Chris Carson, that's an awesome RB2. Lamar Jackson, a great RB1, even though he can't throw. And you got the Mark Andrews stacks. That's pretty good at tight end.
it goes downhill from here.
Rondell Moore, Jacoby Myers. I do like Jacoby Myers. Damian Harris, Sterling Shepard. I like him. Singletary. I mean, yeah, definitely your flexes are going to be dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went for boomer bust. Like after Andrews I was like, I'm not getting anybody because like Jones didn't fall to me. Like, and then I saw the wind writing on the window where it was like everyone is gonna get taken from the other side. And I was like, all right, well, boom bust, boom bust, boom bust.
I mean, I think your non-flex lineup is really good, and I think it's even. I'd probably rank it ahead. Your non-flex lineup, I'd probably rank ahead of Nick slightly.
Yeah, because of Chris Carson over Travis Etienne.
Yeah, and Lamar over Hurts, even though I like Hurts, and even though he's got Waller over Andrews, that's it. That's really it. I think your wide receiver group is better than his too.
Really?
But your flex is definitely dicey. But I think you'll be okay a little more than Nick will. Although he does have the cheat code in Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to give you an 8 as well, just because he has CMC. If he didn't have CMC, I think I'd like your team a little more than his. But CMC is just cheat code. So I'm going to give you an 8 as well. All right, Uncle Drew, Kamara, A.J. Brown, Mixon, Claypool, Smith, Josh Allen, Antonio Brown, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks. Well, that's pretty good, actually. I don't hate that team. If Joe Mixon could stay healthy, he's got 2 good RBs. He's got good wide receivers and potential flex plays. Got a great quarterback, of course. Melvin Gordon, Gronk, MVS. I think he autoed those last 2. Certainly depth is going to be an issue. He's not really going to be able to withstand bye weeks or an injury too well, especially a running back. But I think starter-wise, I think coming out of the draft, this is a better team than the first 2. Because, again, I mean, two potentially top 15 running backs. A.J. Brown, Chase Claypool, Devonta Smith as your wide receivers is good. Plus, he can mix and match between Antonio Brown, Marvin Jones, and Brandon Cooks as his flexes. Maybe Melvin Gordon holds off Javonte for a little while. I'm going to give that one an 8.5. All right, Pierre, Barkley, JJ, Evans, Monty, Hawkinson, of course. How many do you have Hawkinson in like every league?
Just like 98%.
Debo, Williams, Pittman, Gallup. So some upside there. Certainly some worry, but some upside. One of those guys is going to have to be your wide receiver 3, though. That's scary. Connor Williams, I like them. I like Peoples Jones as a potential sleeper.
I like him in Dynasty.
Brady at the 13th. That's really good. Xavier Jones. I definitely worry about your wide receiver 3 and your flexes between those 4 guys. And maybe you could flex Connor some weeks. Maybe you could flex Jamal Williams when he owns that backfield. All the Swift haters are going to comment now. I mean, all the Swift lovers are going to comment now. I just really wish you didn't pick Hawkinson. I know look, if Hawkinson could become a Darren Waller or Travis Kelce, then that'll be great. But I think passing on some of those wide receivers there for Hawkinson in this format might. But I know you love Hawkinson.
I don't see a big difference between the guys left. Like Debo is who I wind up with. I'm higher on Juju than you guys are, but I wouldn't take Jamar Chase. I'm not taking Waddle. I'm not taking Robbie Anderson there. Chenault maybe, but
Chenault went before.
So I just didn't see
that's early.
Difference.
It's early for Chenault at the 5.4.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was just loading up on the premium wide receivers. So.
Yeah, I thought you were off Debo.
I'm off Debo.
I'm off Debo. His ADOT's like 2.2 yards, if that.
Well, I'm not off Debo. I like Ayuk better this year, but I'm not completely off Debo.
I don't know. I could be wrong about this team. Again, if Hawkinson ends up being an elite tight end as far as like up there in that Kittle, Waller, Kelce range, then this team will be really good. But I worry about that, and then I definitely worry about like you're going to have to start 3 of Debo, Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Michael Gallup, and James Conner every week. That scares me.
I could have taken. I really thought I was going to get either Antonio Brown or Corey Davis on the way back instead of Mike Williams. So I probably you might like this team better if I had taken one of those guys instead of Debo.
Definitely. Like if you had taken Corey Davis ahead of Debo, I think I would like this team a lot better because now I feel good about your 3 wide receivers. So I'm a 7.5. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. But like I said, if Hawkinson does what you think he's gonna do, then this team will definitely be a good team. I'm just not as sold as you on Hawkins. All right, Napster. I always think of Napster. You guys remember that thing? Napster?
Yeah.
All right, Derrick Henry, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Swift and Jacobs, Russ, and then it kind of goes off the rails. St. Brown, Hardman, Higbee, Moss, Pollard. What else do you got down there? Ethan, John Brown. I mean, I just really don't like. I mean, I guess there's some potential with those guys, but I just don't really see much from those guys after Russell Wilson. And he's going to be flexing. He's going to be flexing Jacobs, and then one of those, whoever, maybe Hardman or St. Brown or something. Yeah, this is a 7 for me. I'm just not really feeling this team. It's okay. It's not horrible, but it's going to need some work during the season, I think. All right, Stinger, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris. That's pretty good if you're going to go RB. I know he's down. I know he's down on Zeke, so okay, I'll give him a pass there for taking Aaron Jones. Cooper Galladay, and then he went Javonte, and then Pitts. Of course, he grabs Mooney, Landry, Bateman, Parker, Watkins, Beasley, Lindsey, Lawrence. I mean, Lawrence in the 14th round, I think is good. Yeah, so he's going to be. So Mooney's his wide receiver 3, which I know he's excited about. I don't know if I mean, it's okay. He's okay. I mean, Mooney's going to be fine. I think but then he's going to have to flex like Javonte, Landry, Bateman, who's not even going to be healthy for probably a month. Devontae Parker, Watkins, Beasley. I mean, he could maybe make it work. Again, this team is going to this year. I think this team is going to need Kyle Pitts to have a monster year to really contend right now. I do like his running back. I do like that running back start, but I feel like his wide receivers and flexes are a little weak. So I'm going to also give him a 7. All right, Frednell 98. Zeke Metcalf, that's pretty nice. CEH, hopefully his ankle's okay. Ayuk, Chase, Sanders, Dak, Michael Thomas. Okay, so half a season with no wide receiver.
Week 10, yeah.
Logan Thomas, Henry Ruggs, AJ Green. That's interesting. I think that might be the first time we've seen AJ Green get drafted.
I was off him, but now I'm coming around a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like he's the clear 2 there, for whatever that's worth. I don't mind Metcalf, Ayuk, and Chase. There's certainly some risk with those guys, but I mean, it's okay. I think Sanders as a flex is fine. You obviously need Edwards-Helaire to be good and healthy. Dak's good, but then I think this is another 7-5. You guys agree?
Yeah, I'm starting. Yeah, it is like a 7. I'm not big on the Ayuk, Chase, Thomas, like those 3 in a row.
Well, Thomas is certainly
Thomas is it's like drafting a placeholder, because that's how I felt in our dynasty when I took Deshaun. It was like, yeah, he's good, but I still have to get another quarterback because he's not playing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for me, this team is part of my lows. It's got basically all my big busts for this year, which is Chase and Sanders, and then Michael Thomas and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, I'm not touching any of those guys. So
I used to love Chase. I'm fading Chase now. He's looked awful in preseason.
Yeah. All right, he gets a 7. Mr. 24K God, who sniped me at least once. Chubb and JT. That is.
Didn't he auto the first 3?
I was about to say, I think he autoed the first 2.
He did auto the first 3, but he said he had him in his queue. He said he had him
in his queue, yeah.
And then Kittle. Okay, how do we rebound from this in a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex start when you have no wide receivers for 3 rounds? Let's see.
Not very well.
DJ Moore, and then you go Gaskin because you really needed another running back. Juju Chark, who just had finger surgery, is going to miss the entire camp. That's interesting. Gesicki, after you already took Kittle, it's interesting. Edwards, Marquise Brown. I do like the Tyrell Williams pick a lot because I was going to take him, so you did sign me on that. But I don't see a lot for this team. I mean, you're flexing Gaskin, but your starting wide receivers are DJ Moore, Juju Chark, and then you're going to be relying on Brian Edwards, Marquise Brown, Randall Cobb, Tyrell Williams. Stafford, that's good value in 11th. Yeah, this team. I think
he has every team's 3rd target Start. So I'm like, yeah, this is just a no.
All right, we'll skip my beastly 0 RB team. We'll go to Ale.
No. We're not
We'll
skipping
come back.
this
We can come back to my. We
travesty.
can come back to my team at the end. It's
He,
fine.
All
he
right.
can't grade his own team. We'll grade it all together.
Yeah.
All right, Ale, Eckler, Ridley, Cup, Higgins. That's nice. Hunt is your RB2. It's good. I mean, Anderson's okay. I'm out on the Panthers, but I mean, he's a nice player. So Odell and Herbert, that's good. And he goes Jones, Rager, Fournette, Sanders, who he sniped me on that one. Damian Williams. Is that Damian or Daryl? That's Daryl Williams.
Daryl.
Hoping CEH is out. Troutman. All right. I definitely like his first 5 picks. I mean, Anderson and Beckham are fine. I just don't see a lot of upside with those guys. They're okay though. Herbert. I don't even know if this is as good as Nick's and Jeremy's teams. Personally. I think this is a 7-5. What do you guys think?
I like his starters, like the non-flex.
Yeah, but
But
then I think it's a big,
I think Robbie Anderson's fine in the flex, but Odell, I'm kind of fading Odell this year.
I mean, I don't know. I definitely don't think Hunt's as good as Carson. Better
No.
than Etienne right now.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, I do like Ridley and Cup, but I don't know if that's better than Robinson, Lamb, and Sutton. It's not.
I think Ridley, Cup, Higgins is better than Robinson, Lamb, Sutton.
You do? I don't.
Yeah, I got Ridley over Allen Robinson.
Yes.
Cup slightly behind Lamb, maybe, and then Higgins and Sutton are a push for me. I think they're a wash. So
Okay,
yeah,
so wide
okay,
receivers
maybe.
could be a push, but I think Jeremy definitely gets him at running back on both of them.
I mean, when you got the 102, I hope so.
But he's got the better RB2 as well.
Agreed.
I have the better QB.
Obviously, Jeremy's flexes will be an issue. Okay, I'm gonna give him an 8 as well because his issue is, yeah, maybe he's not down to the 7. I don't think his team's necessarily any better than like Pierre's though. I'm gonna give him a
Receivers are
7.5.
better.
I'm grading. He gets a 7.5. I think he's on par with like Pierre and them. He's not. Napster still. Wait, who did I get? Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew still has the best team, right? And then Nick and Jeremy are next. And then now we have Pierre and Ale on that next level. That's how I'm not even gonna give him numbers. That's how I'm gonna grade. Uncle Drew has the best team. Nick and Jeremy are tied next, and then Pierre and Ale are on the next tier. That's how I'm grading. All right, Young Money.
Not my best work today. I just want to put that out there.
Got the Chiefs stack. Wow. I mean, I love Deontay Johnson, but at the 311. But I guess when all the wide receivers are gone.
You said it was full PPR, right?
Yeah, no, I love him. Okay. Then you go Hendo, Mahomes, Mike Davis, Elijah Moore, Trey Sermon, who I was actually hoping would make it back to me when I took Edmonds, Marshall, Traquan, Aguilar, Harris Campbell. So there's some David Johnson. That's like a placeholder. But definitely some upside wide receivers down there. The problem is like you're going to be starting Hill, Johnson, Elijah Moore, which could be okay. Maybe Terrace Marshall or one of those guys. Then you got Hendo Davis. I definitely have flex issues, and I don't feel like – I mean, you got Hill and Kelsey, but, Nick's got McCaffrey and Waller. I feel like his receivers are better, and his flexes are a little better. I think this team's with the Pierre and the Ale teams.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's with those guys. All right, Vagoon. Let's see. This guy always gets spicy. Let's see what he did here. Gibson at the turn. Then Diggs, Julio, Dobbins, Waddle, Kyler, Gage, Mostert and Edwards. I like that. Tunyon, that's fine. Your tight end down there. Whoops. Here were they? Yeah, this is Diggs, Julio, and Waddle as your wide receivers with some mixed mash. Gage, Mostert, Edwards. Your flex.
He's driving that ADP up.
Yeah. Not a fan of this one. I
Gage.
think this is also a
Wow.
7 for me. Not really a fan of this one. So he's in the Stinger Frednell. No, he's in the Frednell Mr. 24K. God. I don't know. He's in that lower tier. Whatever those players were, I forget. All right, go ahead. Grade my team. Grade my 0 RB.
Young Money, you want to start it?
Who's doing this?
I thought Young Money was because.
I don't know what happened to Young Money. He's still on the Zoom, but he's not saying anything.
All right. So we have Adams, Hopkins, Woods,
my bad. What's up?
Thielen, Boyd, Chenault. Hey, Young Money, take over. I've got kids real quick.
So we
Oh, something's wrong with his audio.
Oh, okay. I'm back.
obviously
Sorry.
going to be starting Adams, Hopkins, Woods, and then Thielen and Boyd in your flex with Aaron Rodgers, Fant. I like Fant. Man, it's just
It's tough to grade a team like this. I think his audio keeps cutting out.
Yeah. So
you said
obviously,
you needed 20.
Your audio keeps cutting out.
Mine?
Yeah.
yes.
All right, so your flexes are pretty good. Thielen and Boyd.
Pretty
I feel like
good.
you can get a yeah. Like I said, they're probably the best in the mock, but you might get a combined 15 points a game from Robinson and Edmonds.
Yeah, that's okay.
You said you needed 20.
Well, I can find maybe that week, Fant gets a touchdown or, Thielen catches 2 and I make up those 5 points.
Or maybe I don't know. Chenault.
So here's my only problem with this team, and this is where it's gonna get you. It's you figuring out who you're gonna put in these spots versus matchups. And it
Not even
always
just
doesn't
that.
go out the way you plan. So I think you'll put Robinson in when you think he has a good matchup, and then he's only going to do average. But then Drake's going to go off. I feel like you're in that best ball format when you draft it, and you're like, well, this guy will pop off at some point. Where I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to make these decisions, and I'm not saying you're going to get it wrong all the time, but I will say you're probably going to get it wrong probably 25% of the time. And
Probably more.
that
More than
25%.
that. More than
Probably
that.
more.
If
Well,
you-
more than
I
that,
was
but
gonna say if you get 75% of these matchups right, you're a profit.
yeah. But he's
Probably
at least going to get that much wrong, and that much wrong is going to cost him a couple games.
Not just
the
that.
real-
What happens? Where's your depth? If James Robinson gets hurt, your team is screwed.
Well, we say that now.
Or on a bye week.
Well, we say that now, but I just throw in Gio Bernard and his 6 points or whatever, 8 points. Or I throw in, But here's the real hope when you do this. The real
You're
hope
hoping
is
for a
that,
Jeff Wilson type at the end of the year.
well, not even that. The real hope is that, James Robinson is the guy there, and he's getting 70% of the touches. Oh my God, now my team's insane. Or hey, Chase Edmonds is the guy there, and James Conner's barely. I'm not saying I think this is going to happen, but that's the hope. Or oh hey, look, Kenyon Drake is playing more snaps than Josh Jacobs. He's a every week RB2. That's the hope when you draft this team this type of way, right? That's what you're not worried about, because is James Robinson on a given week, is James Robinson, Chase Edmonds, Kenyon Drake, Naheem Hines, Gio Bernard, or Rashad Penny going to significantly outscore one or the other without scoring 1 or 2 touchdowns? Probably not, right? They're all going to be in that 8 to 12-ish range on a given week, something like that, right? So yeah, I'm not going to get the matchups right all the time, but it probably won't matter. What I really need to have happen is for 1 or 2 of these, at least one of these guys, to break away from the pack and become the guy. Or, me, Young Money, I'm always preying on people's downfalls. I need an injury. Right? I need Josh Jacobs to get hurt, or I need even though I don't want that to happen, I don't want James Conner to get hurt. I'm going to need something like that where, now I have a RB1. or at least
Yeah.
You're hoping
team
that a
target.
guy steps up, but Chris, I think you know that hope is not a winning strategy. So
That's okay. That's
sounds like
okay.
there's a lot of hoping going
he's-
on here.
He's got voodoo dolls back there because he was talking about Cam Akers and Daryl Henderson, and what do you know?
And I've been drafting Daryl Williams everywhere, saying like this guy's the best handcuff because who is gonna if CEH goes down, who's gonna play over Daryl Williams? Now all of a sudden this week everybody's like, oh my god, you gotta get Daryl Williams. I'm like, yeah, I've been saying it all season because
I
it's not
cannot
that I
believe
want-
when
it's not
when
that
they
I
were like
want-
it's an internal bone bruise or whatever. I was like, this is a Chris doing.
like look,
Chris
as soon as
got
I heard,
voodoo
it,
dolls,
it's
man.
not that I want these guys to get hurt. I wish no one ever got hurt in football. It'd be awesome because it sucks when your guy gets hurt. It really sucks. And it sucks for the player. But you have to accept that it's part of the game. And I don't draft these guys and then hope Cam Akers gets hurt or hope Chris Carson gets hurt. In fact, I don't want Chris Carson to get hurt because I really like him. But I draft him in the thing where it's like, look, I think they can have a role anyways. Like I think Penny's going to have a role anyways. Is it going to be good enough to start on a given week? Maybe not.
Not even close.
But if Chris Carson does get hurt, who's behind him? Alex Collins, DJ Dallas? I don't even know. Like, right? So it's not that I want people to get hurt. It's that I play the like people are gonna get hurt. It could be Kenyon Drake. It could be James Robinson. It could be Chase. It could be one of the guys I
That's
have.
what I'm saying. And if that happens, if Daryl Henderson gets hurt for my team, I'm screwed too. But like, you'd be less screwed because all your RBs are the same.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
one
not
advantage
relying
to
on my
drafting
running
like
back.
this. Yeah, if one of your guys gets hurt, it's like ho hum. You might as well just pick up anybody off waivers.
Exactly. What will screw me
Is
is if
if
Devontae
Devontae-
Adams or DeAndre
yeah.
Hopkins gets hurt.
That would screw you.
Yes, because those guys I need. Those guys are like Stinger's team is going to get carried by Aaron Jones and Najee Harris, right? Like 24K guys' team is going to get carried by Chubb and Taylor. I have to be carried by Adams and Hopkins, and to a lesser degree, Robert Woods.
Yeah.
So for me, like Chase Edmonds getting hurt, it's like, okay, whatever. I drop him, and like you said, I'll pick up some other running back who's like Chase Edmonds or whatever. That's not going to screw me as much as one of those guys getting hurt. So
I'm starting to come around on this team now because
I sold you on it.
It's like RB proof.
Don't fall for it.
point.
Don't fall for it, man. It's a trap.
It's RB proof because
It is.
like let's be honest. If for a lot of us, if our first round pick gets hurt, we're done.
Well, any of
But
us. Even
But
me.
if Devontae gets hurt, Hopkins, Robert Woods, Thielen is still, if not the best receiver group, number 2 in this mod.
Yeah, but it's hard to replace Adams.
But I'm saying he would be for your team. He's more replaceable than Daryl Henderson would be for my team, or Austin Eckler for L's team.
Or
Yeah, it's easier to
Yeah.
make up for a deficit at wide receiver because a running back, there's just no depth. I mean, you basically have to pick up the guy behind him, right, his backup, and hope that he's good. But at wide receiver, you can build more depth. So that's why
Not just that, especially when you have Hopkins and Woods and Thielen, like the way you drafted makes it to where it's not as big of a deal. Like if I took 5 straight RBs, if one of them gets hurt, it's not that big of a deal. But if I go running back and then for receivers, if my running back gets hurt, I'm screwed.
yeah,
right.
for sure. All right. Well, no, I know
right,
it's hard to
guys.
grade. It's always hard to grade a 0 RB team after the draft because it's like your wide receivers are awesome, but your running backs suck. It's like, yeah, I know. That's what happens when you wait till round 7.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
right.
I think you're solid at wide receiver, flex. Your tight end is middle of the pack. Your QB, Aaron Rodgers, that late is super good, right? Is that who you got?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Just so I think that's fine. So I think you'll beat most people just because of that. Because you're solid everywhere else and you're really good at wide receiver. But the biggest thing is knowing who you're going to play at running back. So this is just like, I feel like this is a little like my team. You're great everywhere except your running backs, but you have to play 2 at it, unfortunately.
No, I do. You're right.
I'll tell you, Chris, if you would have taken Pitts over Chenault, I think you might have had the best team.
I don't. Nah.
Say that again?
I
I
don't
think
like.
if you would have taken,
I think Pitts is going to be okay, but I don't think he's going to be anything.
I think he'll be better than Fant. Not
I mean, yeah,
significantly.
okay, he might be better. Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna be significant. And Chenault gives me that flexibility. Like, okay, if Adams or Hopkins gets hurt, now I'm rolling out. Let's say Adams gets hurt, now I'm rolling out Hopkins, Wood, Thielen, and now I have Boyd and Chenault as my flexes. So I'm still not that bad.
Look, Chenault's just great for your bye weeks because
That's the other thing.
yeah. That way you don't have to dip during your bye weeks at your 4 wide receiver or 5 wide receivers that you need every week.
And the other nice thing about a team like this is when you go into the season, like you're like, okay, I only have to attack one thing during the season, unless I get really unlucky. I just got to attack RB. I got to find an RB off the waiver wire, 1 or 2, right? I got to find a couple. That's all you really have to focus on. Whereas everybody else is like, oh, wide receiver and the running back and the tight end and this guy, and I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna attack running back, and attack running back, and hopefully I'll hit on 1 or 2 during the season, and then I'll be okay. But yeah, definitely early in the season, it's gonna be rough.
I just don't know. So now, with that thought in mind, who are you trading to get this RB that's going to be?
I didn't say trade. I said the waiver wire.
Okay. I was about to say,
attacking the waiver wire, attacking injuries, attacking people's downfalls. Like somebody gets hurt, like I don't know who's got a backup on the, like Derrick Henry gets hurt, boom, I'm grabbing Darrington Evans, right? And boom, like no guarantee I get him, but I'm trying to get him, or whatever. Like Saquon
$99 of your fab.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just doing that. But whereas everybody else is like, oh, hot waiver wire wide receiver, oh, hot waiver wire tight end, oh, hot waiver wire quarterback, and I'm just like, nope, I'm just focused solely on running back, solely on running back the whole year. Because other people are like, well, I got Saquon and Montgomery, I don't need a running back, right? So, but anyways, it's interesting. It'll be interesting. This is my preferred go-to in a 3 wide receiver 2 flex. And this is what I use in the Rotoballer Expert League when I should have won, but oh well.
I usually I do the hero RB.
No one cares. No one cares that you should have won. You didn't.
No trophy for second place.
Although that was a nice. I remember that was like $100 buy-in, and it was like I still got $800 for finishing the second. I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet. Or maybe I got 300. I forget what it was, but it was still pretty. I was like, oh, it's pretty nice.
Second place is just first to lose.
Thanks, Ricky Bobby. Pierre, by the way, you're on the clock in the cut league.
What?
Stinger gets real impatient.
I know Stinger, the guy who like timed out 2 picks in a row.
Yeah. This dude's at school like 40% of the week.
Oh, I am on the clock. All right, well, I'm gonna go anyways. It's breakfast time.
All right, guys.
So
Yeah, time to go.
I'll see you guys.
All right, guys. Good job. We'll see you on
Good draft,
Tuesday.
man.